Okay, cool. It's yeah, good to meet you again. Obviously, last time I chatted to you was Bracknell last year.
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
Very eventful, to say the least. Yeah, firstly, obviously you've joined Adam Martin. How did that kind of link up? Because that was a bit of a nice link up.
Yeah, I think it was maybe fight week of the Freddie Kiewit fight. It was my last spar. I was going down when Booth and Adam were located at Stallard's gym, and I was going there to spar Obi Egbenike.
Yeah.
Probably butchered that. I'm not Nigerian, sorry. So I was going to go spar him, did a couple of rounds, and then Adam was there, I think, watching someone else spar or talking to Booth, and he saw me sparring him, and then I think he asked one of my people that was with me there sparring, who's that, blah blah blah, and then ended up showing interest in me, and then as it happened for that fight, I didn't have a trainer, so going into that fight I was training myself.
Was it Freddie?
Yeah.
Did a pretty good job of it.
So yeah, I didn't have a trainer at the time, so then Adam had been inquiring about me, and then I went to South Africa for 4 weeks, and then when I come back I was like, need a trainer. So I started talking to my friend Ryan Hodges, works for Siesta, and yeah, he told me about Adam. I didn't know about Adam, but it turns out we'd actually been talking on DMs on Instagram, but not about just about random boxing matches. So we'd been talking. I didn't actually know who he was because I don't really look at people's profiles unless I'm following them. So I was like, oh really? Let me go look at him. I was like, oh okay, cool. He's actually opened up a gym with booths. I checked out where the gym was. It was with like good reason from distance from my house. So then I was like, okay, let me message him. Let me come down for a 2-week trial. We did that, and then 2 weeks I liked what he was trying to teach me and was like, you know, working on, and then yeah, just went from there. And then shortly after, after the didn't even wait the 2 weeks. I was like 5 days. I was like, cool, let's go, let's start training. And then yeah, so yeah, that's how that happened.
You know, you sound like you're training yourself and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, you went to gyms, to a certain gym, just to training, or was it literally you just?
No, I was literally just running, doing my sprints, doing my strength work with Louis Sims Performance Science Institute, and then I was going to sparring. I was like, I don't need to do any pad work. I'll just do bag work and I'll go spar. Like, you know, so that's what I was doing. I knew I was fit because I'd been not like really active, but I've been pre-active. So I was just sparring, like I was just sparring and running and doing weights. And then, but I was pretty confident I could beat Freddie, even though I was the underdog. I looked at him and I just knew what I had and what he had. Yeah, I knew I could beat him. The trainer situation wasn't perfect, but I was like, nah, I'll beat him. So then the fight was gonna get cancelled. Siesta was like, you can't go into a fight with no trainer. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm gonna go into this fight. So that's how that happened. So the Freddie Kiewit fight almost didn't happen behind the scenes, but I was just like, no.
It's mad though that people don't know.
Yeah,
stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Just
crazy stuff happens in boxing because, you know.
What was Al saying about it though? I mean, did he know the full extent? Like
Al knew the full extent of everything that's happening because we're a small team and we all work together on everything. But he knew everything that was happening. But I was just stuck in my ways and stubborn, saying I'm not pulling out of this fight. I need this fight because it was a next gen show, a matchroom show,
TV,
and big TV show. So I was like, I need this fight.
Because it was your second matchroom show, wasn't it? Obviously after the Italian.
Yeah. So the opportunity was just too big to miss up, and Al was, of course, it's not ideal. It was never like you can't go into a fight with a trainer, but I was just like, no, I need the fight.
Was there any idea of literally just grabbing a interim kind of trainer, so to speak, like someone that's semi, knows your little kind of game?
The thing is where I had been training for 8 weeks, right? Obviously taking over for 2-3 weeks and then in camp for 4 weeks. So I had been with my trainer, so I knew I was working on. And then the last 4 weeks, it's just like, it's sparring. It's like the last 3 weeks of camp is literally just sparring. So if you've been working on something and you're in shape and you've been sparring already, I just said we'll just continue what I've been working on, the particular shots, particular style, and just
So you already
keep sparring.
had a game plan?
Yeah, I had a game plan, had something to work. So I didn't think, not just me, but the whole team, me, Al, other people in the team, strength and conditioning coach, we didn't feel that introducing someone for 3 weeks would be beneficial because it might confuse me. It might just, he might just bring in a different element. But we did work with a good trainer, Ian Bailey, Josh Adewale's trainer in Slough. He helped me out with certain little bits, like just helped me out. So he just helped me with my jab and certain cutting off the ring elements. But he wasn't in my corner that night. He just brought someone in just to didn't even bring someone in. I was just in the gym with Josh because they knew that about the situation. So then Ian just gave me a few little tips here and there, what to do or not to do, what he thought about this, like the Freddie style, and that's how I got through the fight. Really, just.
But mentally, was it quite? I don't know how can I put it. Because you've changed train, or you got really good training, and then you had a big fight, which is not just a run-of-the-mill fight. It's a TV fight. It's for your title. Was that quite hard mentally to kind of cope with? Or?
I think it was hard mentally, but I think in a normal situation for a normal fight it would have been hard. But my career has been, no one really knows how I've got into boxing and how everything. So for me, this was like so minor in terms of the past things that have happened to me. In terms of when I first started training, I was in university. I wasn't even intending to turn pro. I had 11 amateur fights. I'd just been out the ring for 3 years. I just turned professional after 6 months of training. So that was hard in itself. And then I'd went boxed in different countries, away from everyone. I hadn't really boxed at home until I had 7, 8 professional fights, and I had 350s on the trot. So mentally, I was just and there's been previous fights where I trained myself before, so I knew it's kind of like I'd been in this situation. I'd been in ruts, so I was just
You've not had a normal run-of-the-mill
I haven't.
career.
I haven't had a proper established. I've been doing things by myself for most of it. So for me, it was just it was kind of like another day. It was a big inconvenience, but I was whatever, So I think from those experiences, I don't know, mentally, I guess it's just made me be able to be stable even in the bad situations.
Just going back a sec, so what actually got you into boxing? You were at uni and you just decided to kind of take it up?
I mean, I think take aside boxing, I'd always been fighting, kind of in the streets, at school. I remember I was in South Africa before I moved to England. My parents had originally wanted me to go to a private school. Now all the private schools in South Africa are mainly white based. There's not very minorities. So when I got to school, I was getting bullied, but I just used to really smack kids in the face. So then that started from then. And then when I moved to England, I moved to Bracknell. It was the same thing. The area was predominantly white. So then the same thing happened there. So I was always fighting there. So then my dad got sick of it, and he was like, "God, go to the gym or something. Go to the boxing gym," because he used to box when he was in the army. So he sent me to the boxing gym. I did that for about 6-8 months. I liked the sparring, but I didn't like the running and stuff and all the exercise. So I left it. Yeah, I think I was about 12 at this age. So I left it. Then I went back to the boxing gym again 3 years later when I was 15, and that's when I actually started competing amateur. I did that for 2.5 years. Had 11 fights. And then I stopped again for 2 years because I was at college studying, and then I went to university, so I didn't really have the time or the means to get to the gym and everything. Stopped for about 3 years. Then when I got to uni, I think I was all kind of partied out. And then it just so happened there was a boxing gym around the corner from my university accommodation. So I started there again, and then when I was there, that's when I ran into my trainer. Then I was just turned professional, and I was with him for 3 years, and until obviously all this other stuff happened. So that's what happened there. So it was all from my career. It's just been sequence of random events really, and that's how.
What did you study at uni?
I was studying computer science. Yeah, I studied computer science.
What did you want to get into?
I didn't really know. Like, I remember the whole uni thing. I wasn't even gonna go uni. I was in sixth form. I was studying, and then I didn't really like. I remember taking back to GCSEs and stuff. I wasn't really like a student. I was just like a coaster. So I wasn't expecting to pass GCSEs. I did okay. So then I got into sixth form. I went sixth form. Wasn't expecting to pass sixth form because I was trying, but I wasn't, you know. I passed. I got okay grades, nothing spectacular, but I was able to get into uni. And then I remember I was gonna go after sixth form. I was gonna go do like construction or something, but my parents were like, nah, go uni and whatever. So I went into uni, and then when I got into uni, I think I did 2 years of the computer and passed that. But I think it got to the third year and I really wasn't liking it. I didn't see myself going into that field. Or maybe I did, but that's when when I turned professional, that's when the boxing started taking over. So I just decided to leave the uni and just go boxing.
Were your parents okay about that?
I didn't even tell them. I didn't even tell them about my pro debut. They just saw it on the internet and they were like, what? I was like, So like,
why didn't you tell them?
I don't know. I think I didn't really know what was happening with boxing. I was just doing it.
Just going along with it.
Yeah, I was just going along with it, and Al was so confident, and not confident, but he was investing so much time and money in me, and he was so confident. I was like, alright, whatever. I'm not really liking uni. Let me try boxing. So I did it, and then the ball started rolling. So then when boxing started taking over, not my life, but more so mentally, I put so much into boxing mentally that I really couldn't be bothered to do the education side. Even though I was in the last year, probably about 7 months away, but I don't know. I just thought, let me leave this and concentrate on what I'm doing. And you know, here we are now.
Is part of you regret that you didn't finish the course though?
Nah, I mean, thing is, it was stuff like I think if you meet anyone that's like a graduate, right, and they've gone into the field of what they've studied, stuff like computers, like web development, all that kind of stuff or whatever. If you're not the best or very enthusiastic at what you're doing,
so your heart wasn't totally.
Yeah, you're not gonna be enjoying what you're doing anyway. And more times, the salary difference between, let's say for someone in my field, if I would have graduated, let's say the starting salary for a graduate is like 28,000, and then top tier like senior workers maybe 60, 85, whatever. But in order to get to those positions where you're earning 60 to 80,000 a year, you actually have to be good at your job, and you have to be enthusiastic about your job. Otherwise, you're going to be just above the graduate salary or just above the normal salary of 26, 28. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I was like, I don't enjoy this, and there's a chance that I probably won't be good at it because I don't enjoy it. So what's the point? So like, I look back at it and I'm like, like I can always go back into computing and go get a job in it and be an average worker on a decent wage. So for me, it's like, let me try what I do with boxing. Something like this, more times you've got about this career it's a young man's sport, and most of the time you'll be retired by the time you're 32, maybe 34, and at that time, if I retire around about that age and things don't go my way, you know, you can go work. Realistically, you can't do it the other way around. You can't go full-time work and whatever and then say I'm going to go into boxing because you're tight. You can't. It's a young man's game, so you might as well try. So do you have a fallback
then if you know, God forbid, like, you know...
Yeah, I've got the computing. I did finish 2 years. I've got like some sort of diploma to get into work, but like I said, it's...
Do you think about like life outside of boxing now? Like, you know, what if, or you know, I say God forbid, like get an injury or something. But what do you think, or even you know, you have your career, but let's say you know you don't make say millions like the Joshua's and stuff. Do you have some sort of idea of what you want to do when you retire? Do you want to stay in boxing? Do you want to?
I think for me personally, if boxing don't go my way and I don't make money from it, or I'll just fall back on the education I do have, do you know what I mean, and the diploma that I do have, and go into IT and other stuff like that. But you know, this game, that you can't really think about plan B. You see it through. Like I said, you're gonna see it through, and you're gonna see how far you get and what you get out of it. And for me especially, I haven't got like kids, I haven't got family, I ain't got dependents on nothing. This is all I do. So for me, I'm able to just completely focus on it and not think about plan Bs and stuff like that, because it's only me, like I'm investing in myself, investing my time in it, and if for whatever reason, whatever happens, if something else, then I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But I feel like, you know, I've set the foundation education wise and everything for me to have that full-blown plan, but it's not something that stays in my mind
afterwards. So you don't fancy like doing what Adam's doing, training.
Well, like boxing training, you know, I think you don't know if you're going to be a boxing trainer until you're like, I don't think any fighter while they're boxing, if he says I'm going to be a boxing trainer or something, it's something. Even boxing trainers, most of the time they're working as well around it, and only a few trainers like Adam Booth and Adam Martin are full-time trainers. Because most of the time you're working around it, and this is something you'll do out of the goodness of your heart because you love the sport. Because to be a boxing trainer, most professionals work 9 to 5s, and they come in the gym after PT, so you're working around your life.
No, absolutely. I think you know, a lot of people don't realise that, but I think
So it's something even that being a trainer, something you cross when you get there. Like, but I haven't really thought much about it, but I do love boxing. I think I probably would like to do it, but it's not in my immediate train of thought.
Yeah. Tell me about how you and Al met, Al Siesta.
Yeah, I was just in the gym. I was at uni. First year uni, and I was just training in the gym. I was sparring, and then Al just so happened to be in the gym and saw me sparring, and then he just showed some interest in me, and then after he set me up with a trainer that was in the gym. And then we started training, then I just turned professional like 6-7 months later after training. So like I say, it was just a random sequence of events.
Yeah, but what did he say to you? I mean, did you need any convincing to kind of go with him?
I don't think I didn't need any convincing because, like I said, I wasn't particularly, I don't know if happy is the word. I wasn't, not to say I wasn't happy at uni or what I was doing, but I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. So I was just kind of going through the motions. So when Al said that, I already loved boxing anyway. I was always been a boxing fan. Even if I was in the gym, I was like a boxing fan. You know, watching YouTube videos like yourself are making. I'll be the guys watching it at home. So like I was like, yeah, all right, let's give it a go. And then that's just how it happened. So it just happened organically and randomly.
And you've been with Al since your debut.
Yeah.
So that's, I say, quite unique because you know a lot of guys kind of go from different promotions or different managers and stuff. Must be, you know, a lot of trust either side from you guys. Like,
I mean,
trust him and
I trust Al because obviously not because I didn't trust him at first. He'll tell you I didn't trust him at first. I was like, what's the Russian guy trying to set me up? All these 50, because Al's match made me very hard actually for someone of my level of experience. So for ages I'd be like, this Russian guy trying to set me up. And but it took a long time to trust him. But even before I trusted him in terms of like trust with me, but I trusted him because I saw what he was doing in boxing. You know, the fights he was working with, the matches he was making. Do you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, this guy's competent at his job. He's not just a manager, boxing manager, because there's plenty of managers, but there's very few good ones. Do you know what I mean? So I trusted him in that department, and then as like the relationship grew and the time grew, I spent a lot of time with him. You know, then I trusted him with my career and everything. So
you've got a lot of links in there. Obviously, he does stuff in Russia here, and you know, he's close with Eddie Hearn. So he's kind of like a man in the know and knows his boxing very well. And
yeah, exactly.
Obviously, when I spoke to him in Bracknell for the first time, he was like a musician turned boxing promoter and manager. So that was different career.
Exactly.
Your debut. Let's talk about that quickly. So obviously you didn't tell your parents. Did Al know that you didn't tell your parents?
I think, I don't know, man. I don't even. The thing is with my debut, because I wasn't having to sell in tickets. Where was it? It was in Latvia. So I was like, okay, we've got a date. Marius Bridis has got a fight in Latvia, Riga. You're gonna be fighting in Riga. And I was like, okay, cool. And I got to Riga, I was like, it's a big ass stadium. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I fought there, didn't tell anyone. Then after the fight, I just posted some pictures on Instagram, and everyone was like, what the hell? You know what I mean? My parents were like, you didn't even tell us. I didn't even tell them I was going to Riga. Because I was at uni at the time, so they didn't even know about my whereabouts, obviously. They just know that. So then I see this, and then like, my mom calls me like, after she sees the post, goes, what the? And I was like, oh yeah, I had this fight over there. And then, you know, and then I kind of told him from there. But at that time, I don't think it was being taken, not that it wasn't taken seriously, or maybe it wasn't, because it was just like so random. So then from then on, my second fight was in Reading. And then everyone came out to watch that. My parents came and everything. But even then, because you know, when it's just a 4-rounders, it's not really like a big deal.
So, learning fights.
Yeah, learning fights. So, and then slowly it started getting a big deal. And then my parents, they've always supported me, but then they like, you know, everyone was kind of like watching and seeing what was going on. So I think for everyone, it was just unfolding in front of their eyes. It wasn't made a big deal because it wasn't to begin with, really. Do you know what I mean? I think a lot of professionals early, they make a big deal out of turning professional, because realistically any man off the street can turn professional. And most fighters, their first 8 fights, 10 fights, they're not fighting anybody, but they're making a really big deal out of it. But for me, I was like, because I had this kind of grounded view of everything, because I was a fan before I actually was a boxer, I was like, I'm fighting some journeyman kind of thing, it doesn't matter. Do you know what I mean? So like, I went into it, and then I didn't really obviously my level of position was going up quite quickly because of the way I was matchmaking me, but I still knew my strength. I was like, okay, I'm going to beat this guy. Realistically, if I train properly, I'm going to beat him. So until it started getting to like all the 50-50s, the 60-40s, like, you know, then it started getting serious. But even then, by the time we got to there, I'd been a professional for 2 years. Even though I was at university studying, I think I just had a different outlook on everything. And even to this point now, like, I've got a very big fight though too, but it's just like, yeah, alright. And like, I don't know, it's become another day for me. Kind of, I still get nervous, but I don't really sweat too much, you know. And I just think because of the way my career's folded out, I think that's why I'm so cool and collected about everything, because I just put things in perspective.
Yeah, conscious of time, there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you, but so, because it's really good hearing this, so another day we might I'd like to revisit some of this, that'd be really cool. But just briefly, you've had one loss. Talk to me about that, and how did you deal with that, and how, you know, obviously you've bounced back, but like, what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, do you know, the funny thing is, when I turned professional, because I only had 11 amateur fights, I knew in my head, I was like, I don't really have a lot of experience, I'm kind of winging it. I was like, I'm going to lose at some point. Like, before I even had my first fight, I was like, I'm going to lose at some point. And when I do lose, well, it won't be a shock, because I will be fighting against very experienced fighters, talented fighters, better fighters than me. So like, when I lost, I was like, this sucks, but oh well. And because when I lost in Russia, I think I was 5-0 at the time against a 9-1-1 guy, 9 wins, 1 loss. So it was very early, another step up again. And if you watch that fight, I was beating up that guy after 5 rounds. He was gassing. Like, if it was a 10-round fight, I probably would have stopped him or won. I would have won the fight, because I started so late. But I started so late to warm into the fight, 8-rounder after 5 fights. So I took confidence from it. I was like, okay, I've got a lot to learn, I've got a lot to improve. I was furious because he thought I won the fight, and I was meant to be the home fighter. So he thought, at best, I thought it was a draw, but he thought I won the fight.
So he was furious with you, he was furious with the...
Yeah, furious with the match. So he was mad, but I was like, it's cool, it don't matter. I wasn't really upset, because like I said, I don't know. It's like a breakup. Like, you know, like when you're going to break up with a girl and you see the relationship slowly spiraling down, and you kind of mentally prepare yourself like, okay, this is going to end soon, so I'm just going to accept it now, so when it does end, I'm not too heartbroken. So it was like that. I thought, so when I did lose, even though I don't think I lost the fight, but when I did get that, I was like, okay, it's an experience. I started too late. I was boxing this guy with the wrong style kind of thing. I looked at it very cerebrally, and I broke it down in my head. I was like, okay, next time I fight similar guy with these dimensions, I'll do this, and not this.
Because I think, you know, at early stage of your career, which is quite refreshing to hear from you, but you know, it seems like people just want to keep that over for as long as possible, and not really willing to take risks. But it sounds like, you know, you were matched harder than probably most, fighting in places that were a bit alien to you, should I say. And it's credit to you for like kind of taking it on. I mean, obviously you've done fantastic since.
I think the way, like I said, bounce from back for loss. I saw a quote online. It said something like, life is easy. No, life is hard when you try to take the easy route, and it's easy when you take the hard route. So in boxing, when you're trying to do things easy and you're trying to get to somewhere without paying your dues and fighting tough fights and earning your shot, it becomes hard, because you see these fighters with like 15-0 and they fought nobody, and then they get the big opportunity and they're not ready. They're not ready for the fight, like physically, mentally, they're not ready for this, because they haven't been into these tough grueling fights, or mentally dealing with the emotional stress. And you see these other fighters that have had tough fights, and they haven't looked fantastic. They haven't been knocking everyone out, but they've fought good fighters. They've progressively stepped up the right way, and life's not easy for them, but it's easy because they know what they're doing. They have a path and they're on it. Whatever happens along the path, they know what they're on. And for me, boxing's been easy. It's been easy because I'll set the route. Hasn't been an easy route, but it's been easy because I've known how to do it. Haven't had to try creative and try selling tickets every single fight, 15 fights in, and going nowhere with my career. You see a lot of fighters, they're going nowhere with their career. They're undefeated, or they're damn near like 29, 30, and they haven't fought nobody. And they're still in boxing. That don't make no sense to me. Do you know? So for me, I said to myself, okay, we've got a path. It's not an easy path, but I know what I'm doing. I know where the goal is. If we get to that goal, great. If we don't, it's a shame, but that's life. So that's how my outlook. That's my outlook on it.
Yeah, Ronald, thank you for picking this back up a week later.
Yeah, no worries.
It was good watching you spar as well. So what I wanted to quickly just cover, which we didn't do last week, was obviously you got your fight coming up with Chris Kongo. Talk to me a little bit like that, and where you see Chris's like strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah, obviously the fight with Chris got made. I think that I don't know if this is out there or not, but there was going to be a Matchroom show in Bournemouth. It was alleged that Chris Billam-Smith was going to be headline.
I think that's been announced. I think it's been rescheduled. I think.
Yeah, so I was originally meant to be on that, and then for whatever reason that fell through. I got
against.
No. It's just like a to be announced opponent, and then my manager Al Siesta was looking around for a couple shows, and I think we could have boxed on a small hall show, but I wasn't really eager on selling tickets and kind of like paying for an opponent, and not a step backwards because it's good to stay busy, but I was just like, oh man, like I just wasn't very eager to do that. So then Al was looking around, asking a few different opponents. I'm not going to name the people we offered fights to and that we were in communications with, but offered a couple other prospects within the top 10, top 5. For whatever reason, that
Amir Khan turned it down apparently.
Nah, it wasn't Amir Khan. Although that's Saudi money. But for whatever reason, couldn't get any of them. And then I think Al got approached by Dean White or Dylan White, one of the Whites, about Chris Kongo, and then Eddie Hearn had called Al and said, yeah, we've been offered this fight. It's a bit risky, blah blah. Would Luther take it? And I was like, I don't know. Let me ask Luther. I was just like, yeah, it's a hard fight. How much and when? So I was already in training with Adam Martin, and then so we were already training, got a feel at the gym and everything. It was like, well, it's a risky fight, but it's also a winnable fight, and it's a good exposure on the show. So we just took the fight, and then that's how the fight got made really. One phone call from Eddie Hearn, and then one phone call from my manager Al to me, and then we accepted.
So you just pretty much accepted it straight away without.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with the fight, it's a risk for both. It's a 50-50 fight, but the general consensus is that I'm the underdog and that Chris is gonna blow me out. So I'm not really worried about that at all. But for me, it's like it's a big show. It's televised. It's good money. It's very and on top of that is enough time. There's 8 weeks. So for me, I was like, there's nothing you can really. It's not like it's the fight's there and it's 5 weeks notice. I was like, no, it's enough time. It's a risk, but the reward is big. Beat Chris. People already know me, but this will be like a lot of clout if I win that fight.
Why do you think people making you the underdog?
I think it's like the general consensus is that Chris is an underdog, maybe because of his amateur experience. Had close to 100 fights in the amateurs. He was on the GB team. Also, he's a tall, rangy fighter, and of course he's skilled as well. So those kind of things lean to his side, to his advantage, and to my disadvantage. I haven't had that many amateurs, and although I'm higher ranked, maybe they see Chris as the ability to go further than me. So
does it make you more determined though?
Not really. I mean, it's just a fight. In the day, like, I'm motivated anyway. I'm motivated for the fight, but it's just like, it's boxing. There's always gonna be a general consensus of who's the underdog and who's the favorite. So like, I'm not gonna use it to make me go out of myself and go out there and go crazy, or I'm not gonna use it to get me down. It's just, I got to win. It's just the same as every fight, really.
But without kind of giving any game plans away, I mean, what do you see as strengths and weaknesses?
Strength is he's 6'1". He's probably got a really long reach. I assume he's gonna use his feet and move around the ring. His disadvantages, he's big for the weight, so you never know how fit he actually is for the weight. He is 6'1". With that frame, as much as he may stay in shape and everything, you got a big frame, you still got to cut weight. So even if you're staying in shape, there is some disadvantage to that. So I think that might be his disadvantage. He might not be strong for the weight, but I never know. But we'll see fight night, really.
He hasn't fought in 11 months. I think that's that kind of an advantage for you.
Yeah, it could be an advantage. As much as you can stay in the gym and do all the rounds of sparring, you never know how fit you are until.
So just
yes. As much as you can stay in the gym and do the sparring and everything, you never know how fit you are until you're in the fight. So.
But training obviously, or sparring with like Dan, who you just saw, and Josh must and Jermaine as well.
Yeah,
it's gonna help.
Yeah, it's I don't take too much. Training is training, really. Training is training. You can look good in the sparring or look bad, but fight night is the only thing that matters. For me, we practice things in training and sparring. Other than that, it's got to translate into fight night. So yeah.
Obviously, you went back to like South Africa. Are you kind of getting quite well known?
I think in South Africa, I'm known to a bit to like the hardcores. I think if I want to box at home, really bad. I've been asking for it. I think it's something that's gonna happen eventually. I think if I did box out there, I would get good support. Just because like, you tend to see like if anyone that comes out of a third world country, when they leave the country, no one's really trying to go back. So when someone tries to go back, people really appreciate that, you know what I mean? And all my family's in South Africa, like my mum and dad and my sister, the only one here, they're going back home this year or next year. So then it's just going to be me here. So for me, that's home. I always go back. So I would like to, go box out there and have a couple fights out there and build my name. It's just I think it's just a matter of time, really.
Yeah. My battery's about to go on my camera, so I'm going to have to wrap this up anyway. Thanks for giving us your time. Can you media? How do people follow you on social media?
Follow me on social media at Black Panther Boxing on Instagram, Twitter, LutherClay95. Thank you.
Nice one.